Hi, everyone, and welcome to our session tonight. I am very excited to welcome Dr. Sapienza and Dr. Jackson with us. They're here to talk to us about different opportunities that you can have on your adventure here at Jacksonville University and how you can pair different majors and interests to create your own experience. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Sapienza.
Thanks, Ami. Hi, everybody. I hope you're having a great night. I really appreciate you joining in. I'm with my Vice Provost, Dr. Sherry Jackson. You'll hear from her in just a little bit. First and foremost, welcome to JU. I know I got a chance to speak with you at the opening session, but it's great to be able to be with you again tonight. Super excited to tell you about some of the things that we have going on at Jacksonville University. In fact, the student you see on the screen right now is somebody who just recently graduated, and I think the picture represents all of the different opportunities you have on the JU campus. As Provost and Vice Provost, Dr. Jackson and I are in charge of all of the academic affairs on campus, so we get really excited when we're able to talk to you about all of the majors and minors and what we call the pathways of distinctions, the way that you can combine things together to really build out what will ultimately be who you are, what your resume will stand for, and really help you start to move towards the thoughts about having a career. I know that seems like it's a far way off from now, but we really want to help you get prepared and introduce you to some really cool things that we have here on the campus. So the student you see here was a music major, and he had a minor in speech pathology, and he's now going on to graduate school in speech pathology, which is a clinical field. And he was really a talented artist and wanted to combine his love for music with his clinical care for patients. So let me tell you a little bit, if I can, on the next slide, about my thoughts about YJU. I mean, thank you, obviously, for being with us tonight. Thank you for being at New Student Orientation, and I'm super excited to know that you're going to be moving here to Jacksonville and moving to the JU campus in really just a few weeks. Some of you will start to see us on August 11th. The rest of you will come in the 12th through the 14th. And that's move-in day, and that's a really exciting time. I won't tell you how old I am. It's been a while since I have been a student moving onto campus, but I certainly can speak of my own love for education, and I could be a perpetual student if somebody allowed me to. And I think about when I was younger, what went into the choices of picking a university. And of course, I wanted to make sure they had the things that I was interested in. I wanted to make sure I had enough to select from, and I really wanted to explore. I really wanted to figure out what I wanted to do, because certainly when I was 18 years old at the time, I wasn't sure. And the university that you go to should allow you to explore. They should allow you to be mentored and advised. And I think not only through the application we're going to share with you tonight, but also the people that are here, the teachers, the faculty, the advisors, everybody that's here to support you. I think you'll find a very caring environment, and you'll find people that want to communicate with you and converse with you about the things that you like and enjoy. So we're going to talk to you later about something called Pods, and Pods is an application that we built in-house here for you. So we'll talk about that in just a few minutes. I also want to tell you about some new initiatives on campus. We have what's called STEAM, Science, Technology, Engineering, Arts, and Mathematics. And STEAM is really a combination, a collaboration among multiple departments and disciplines on campus. In a few minutes, I'm going to talk to you about all the colleges and some of the majors that we have inside of those colleges, but I really want you to think more holistically than that, and think about how you can cross colleges and cross majors and minors, and that you don't have to be sort of focused and centered on just being one thing. STEAM is actually a concept about how you blend the arts with the science, and it's a real exciting and emerging field, and it gives you an opportunity to cross disciplines in media, graphic design, engineering, applied mathematics, data science, and that's something I hope you'll want to learn more about when you come here. Certainly mention the STEAM Institute when you come, and be able to talk to people about the STEAM initiatives that you can be involved in. JU has done a lot of activities around healthcare programming. For those of you that are on the phone, we have lots of healthcare opportunities for you, not only in your traditional education in the classroom, but also, as Dr. Jackson will describe later, what you can do in service and volunteerism, and what you'll be able to do for internship opportunities, as well as other types of experiential learning like undergraduate research, and even study abroad for that matter. In 2017, we started a partnership with a very large nonprofit organization called OSearch. I'm sure for those of you, no matter where you live, you know about great white sharks, and you know that it's really important to track them and understand the environment and our waterways. And OSearch is one of the largest nonprofit organizations studying the great whites, tracking them, and helping us understand our waterways. And really, the partnership with JU is one of a kind. There's no other university that has this partnership. And whether you're a Marine Science Research Institute student, or whether you're somebody interested in film or writing or communications, you can all get involved in what's going on with our OSearch programming. And in fact, Chris Fisher, who is the really the lead of OSearch, you see him on TV quite a bit, Discovery, History Channel. He actually comes and lectures on the JU campus. So I really implore you to get involved with OSearch. There's many ways to do that, and you can reach out to me, and you can also reach out to our director of our Marine Science Research Institute program, Dr. Quint White. We really believe that students have to be thinking about the portfolio. The portfolio is important because what the portfolio is really a representation of everything you experienced during your 4 years on campus. And so I hope that you get beyond thinking about just the class. Think about the student organizations you're involved in. Think about your service to community. Think about all of the different facets of learning what goes into sort of the positive outcomes of being a college student. And I believe that means you have to be here on campus, attending athletic events, watching performances. We have a tremendous performance and theater and dance program, and you get to participate in that. We have lots of events that go on in the evenings, lots of sort of community activities that you can get involved in. And certainly this fall, things are going to be a little bit tempered. I mean, we are having to prepare ourselves for a COVID-19 related environment, but there sure is nothing like being embraced in a university setting, and I can't implore you to think about how to build that portfolio. So talk to your academic advisors. We have academic advising teams that are here for you virtually, and they'll be available to you face-to-face as well. Use our academic support center, which is there for virtual tutoring as well as face-to-face tutoring during the fall semester. We have a career services department that really, you can even, as you start out, find out what your traits are and how do those correlate to what areas you might be interested in. And it allows you to begin to talk to people who can counsel you about things like your career. In a few minutes later on in the presentation, Dr. Jackson will cover the different areas of experiential learning, but they're really core to what we do here. We really believe them to be of high quality. And I know it's early in your experience as a university student, but this idea of experiential learning, this idea of learning by doing, I think we all know is really of the utmost importance. We want you to be engaging and be didactic and be designing and creating and being innovative and be thinking and wanting to hypothesis test. I mean, those are all of the things that have always excited me about being a student, and I think you'll find them exciting here for you when you come to JU. So on the next slide, I'd like to tell you a little bit about our 4 colleges. We have a college called the College of Arts and Sciences, and when you first come in as a freshman, you'll be highly engaged in courses offered by the College of Arts and Sciences, and these can be some of the majors that you choose or some of the areas that you can minor in that Dr. Jackson will talk about when you combine these things together. So really strong political science department. We have a pre-law program. We have a pre-med, pre-vet, pre-dental program. We have one of the largest ROTC programs in the state of Florida. Excellent school of education where you can come here for getting a degree for teaching in schools, or an instructor for education, as well as being able to take courses in English and communications. We actually just designed a social media minor that you can be involved with. Our biology and marine science programs, one of our signature programs is our marine science program, really outstanding biology faculty. Our success rate in moving our students to medical schools has been very good. Dr. Kara Conway is one of our biology professors, and she's just a really great resource for telling you about how to prepare yourself for that pre-med and pre-vet and pre-dental track. And Dean Matt Corrigan is the Dean of the College of Arts and Sciences, and he also has a very strong political science background, and he's somebody that you would want to remember his name, Dean Matt Corrigan, and he's one of the key contacts for our pre-law society. And then we have a very, just phenomenal psychology department, very popular. The faculty that teach in it are phenomenal, and I think everybody is so interested in human behavior. And I definitely think the psychology, not only as a major but as a minor, brings so much strength to the portfolio. So I ask you to take a look at that. Yeah, I can't cover them all. Strong engineering department, computer science program that covers areas of basic computer science, as well as a cybersecurity track. But a very large college. They also teach you what we call the core. So there's certain requirements that you have when you come into the university, and those will be identified for you. And many of those courses reside and are taught by the faculty in the College of Arts and Sciences. So moving on to the next college, we have the Davis College of Business. And the Davis College of Business, whether this is important to you or not right now, certain parts of universities have certain accreditations, and accreditations are of very high value. The Davis College of Business has what's called an AACSB accreditation, and it's the only college of business in the state of Florida, private university in the state of Florida that has an AACSB accreditation. We just hired a new dean in the Davis College of Business. Her name is Dean Barb Ritter. She just joined us, but she has a tremendous amount of experience. She's worked at Coastal Carolina before she came here. She's very career focused. She's very experiential focused. And she's running our college, and she'd be the first one to tell you that another signature program we have on campus is our aviation, our School of Aviation for flight, as well as our aviation management. We have a flight simulator on campus that is really one of a kind, where you can actually go in and get simulation with regard to turbulence, flying, landing, taking off. It's a really cool piece of equipment. Lots of traditional undergraduate programs in business for people interested in business admin or econ or finance, international business, which is obviously an up and coming area of the business trade, and then sport business. There's a lot going on obviously around the national athletic associations and sport business, and even combining that with something in English where you're learning how to write and you're combining it with sport business and becoming a sports writer or sports editor. So we also have a finance training lab, and really anybody of any major can participate in the finance training lab. And so they're often looking for new students, and don't think that you have to be a business student to participate in the finance training lab. You can be a student of any area, and that's located in our Davis College of Business. And if you need more information about that, you just walk over to the Davis College of Business and have a conversation with one of the faculty members, or reach out to your advisor. College of Fine Arts, just looking at the picture alone, I think describes the type of talent we have here, but think about glass blowing and dance and film and graphic design. I mean, even ceramics and sculpture and art history, piano performance, some of the most premier faculty we have on campus with regard to, I just think their sense of applied learning, their passion for the field, and the leadership, Dean Tim Snyder, is just tremendous. So I think there's many of you that are interested in the arts, whether it's a major and the minor. And again, I ask you to think about how to combine these things together. Because when Dr. Jackson talks about pods, some of the minors that you might choose aren't necessarily always because of the career. It might just be something you want to do because you're passionate about it. So it's okay to have, a major in the sciences, but want to have a minor in the arts. And then lastly, our Brooks Rehabilitation College of Healthcare Sciences. This is a very large college on our campus, and we have undergraduate degrees in what we call kinesiology or movement science. This is really forms the basis for a lot of applications to either medical schools or doctorate of physical therapy programs, or really any base health degree for going into graduate school. And a lot of students find kinesiology really exciting. We have great faculty doing work on things like gait and physiology and health and nutrition. And then we have the undergraduate degree in speech pathology. And this is the base degree before you move into a graduate program. So in order to be a speech pathologist, you have to have the bachelor's degree, and that can be from really any area. You can do the undergraduate degree in speech pathology, or you could have a psychology degree. But you will need a master's degree for speech pathology. So it's a BS plus an MS degree to be a practicing clinician. And then, of course, our nursing program. And I know many students are interested in nursing. It's a big proportion of our undergraduate student body. So we have the traditional 4-year BSN degree. And I think that's most applicable to you. Our nursing history extends way beyond 30 years. We have tremendous affiliation agreements with all of the major hospital systems, regardless of any of the programs, nursing or kinesiology or CSD. And of course, in Jacksonville, you have a tremendous asset, and that is the Mayo Clinic. And the Mayo Clinic resides in Jacksonville, and it only resides in one other city, and that's Rochester, Minnesota. So we are a healthcare mecca here, and we work very hard to create those important affiliations so that you have the best practicum experiences. So with that, I want to turn to the next slide, which talks about how you create those pathways of distinction. And Dr. Jackson is going to take the lead on presenting this, but I really want to thank Dr. Jackson. She's been the brains and the brawn behind this creation, and it's been a team of people that have put together an application for you that allows you to customize your program of study. So with that, Dr. Jackson, let's talk to him about PODS.
Certainly. Thank you, Dr. Sapienza. Well, good evening, everybody. We're so happy that you're here joining us and that you'll be joining us this fall at JU. So PODS is a concept, Dr. Sapienza is being too kind. It's a concept that the both of us have developed together and something that we created together. And you may be aware that our mascot at JU is the dolphin, and dolphins travel in pods, which is a group of dolphins. And so when we created this concept, we named it Pathways of Distinction, and the acronym for that is POD. And the idea is that just as a pod of dolphins is a group of dolphins, your pod in terms of academics is a group of majors and minors that you're going to put together. And so a lot of times students come in thinking, I want to major in this one thing, or sometimes students come in undecided. But what we want you to think about is expanding that, and what else could you add on that is not going to extend your time to graduation. You usually have quite a few credit hours of elective hours within your programs. And so how could you best utilize those credit hours to make yourself as diverse as possible and more marketable when it comes to getting a job? So pods allow you to customize your program of study so that you're well versed in more than just one area. And just as our experiential learning program that I'll talk about in just a bit emphasizes certain skills, there's an overlap in those skills in terms of our pods. So they're designed to help you increase your critical thinking, your written and your oral communication, and your teamwork skills. And when we talked to employers in the local community and elsewhere, many of them tell us that they don't always care what your major was. Now, that wouldn't necessarily be true for something like nursing or speech pathology, where it's highly specialized, but in many areas, they're not really concerned about what you majored in. They're more concerned with the skills that you developed as part of your undergraduate degree. And so PODS really focuses on those skills, how to really enhance your written and oral communication, your critical thinking skills, and your ability to work as a member of a team. And it's also created to help you to be really flexible in terms of your career pathways. The estimate now is that students who are in college now will likely change careers multiple times. So unlike for your parents or your grandparents, where they may have gone to work in one area for one company and stayed in that position for their entire adult lives, people of your generation need to be more nimble and more flexible because the workforce is changing so rapidly, and it's changing so rapidly partly due to technology. So a lot of the positions that you will hold when you leave JU over your lifetime are things that haven't even been created yet, positions that we can't even fathom, like right now, contact tracer. So the whole idea of PODS is to better for this changing workforce and the demands of that workforce. We've included the link to the PODS app. It's in the chat. It's also at the bottom of this slide here, so you can start playing with it. And I'm going to, in the next few slides, I'm going to show you how to use it and what it will do for you. So the first page on the app, our welcome page, you simply select whether you're a current student or a prospective student from the drop-down menu. And then you select your area of interest. And there are 6 or 7 areas of interest. They roughly span the main areas across our 4 colleges. And then in order to make sure that you receive a summary of your pod, you should put your email address in at the bottom before you click next. It's not mandatory, but you'll get a summary of your pod if you do that. Go ahead, Ami, to the next slide, please. And then what is going to happen is, depending upon the area of interest that you selected, and you can select up to 2 areas of interest on page 1 of the app. So here the person has selected two majors from those areas of interest. So they've selected that they want a psychology and a political science major with a management minor. And so when what is split on the screen here is actually all of the second page. You have to click calculate credit hours, and you can see that this has already been done on the image on the screen here. And that tells us that this particular combination, a psychology major, a political science major, and a management minor, amount to 115 credit hours. It also tells us that that is a successful pod. And the reason that it's telling you that it's successful is that means it can easily be done in 4 years. In order to graduate and get a bachelor's degree, you need a total of 120 credit hours. So this pod still leaves you 5 credit hours to play with. Most students graduate with more than 120 credit hours. So a successful pod is something that would be between 120 and around 140 credit hours. And those are all pods that any student should easily be able to do across 8 semesters or 4 years. So based on this selection, we know that it's successful. When you go to the next page, you're going, so these 2 screenshots here are actually what is on the 3rd page. And here it tells you what career options you have based on your particular pod that you have created. So you can see policy analyst, a sales representative, a profiler, an intelligence analyst, retail banking, human resource specialist. And those are all based on the combinations that you selected as your majors and the minor on the previous page. It also gives you links to job resources, so state of Florida jobs, US federal jobs, LinkedIn jobs, and it will take you directly to those sites so that you can further explore the types of things that you might do with this particular pod. Go ahead to the next slide, please. And then on the last page, it summarizes your pod for you. And what it actually does is it tells you every single class that is required for that pod. So you can only see a bit of it on this screenshot here. So you can see it's starting to list the first few classes for the political science major and the psychology major. And there are hyperlinks for all of those classes that take you to our catalog that describe, what that class is and what the content for that particular class is. When you click finish, the email will automatically be sent. If you included your email address, the email will automatically be sent to you that summarizes your pod and gives you all of that information in an email so that you can save it if you want to. You can also easily click start again, which is on the very last page of the app, and go back through and create another pod, and try out different things. So the whole idea behind the app is to give you an idea of what you can do. So what types of combinations, what types of fun combinations you could put together? Is it something that's going to be doable in 4 years? And then you can work with that information, or you can take that information to your academic advisor, and your academic advisor can help you to plan that. You know, what you'll need to take each semester to plan out the time that you're at JU, and how you can make sure that you get all of those classes into your schedule. So if you're playing with the app and you have questions about it, I'm happy to suggest good combinations for you. If you have any questions, you know, I'm majoring in this, what might be a good second major, what might be a good minor to add with that. Do adding minors add to the cost per semester? No, they do not. You have flat rate tuition for 12 to 18 credit hours a semester. So if you did 50, a normal load is 15 credit hours a semester, and if you did 15 each semester, you would end up with 120 hours at the end of 8 semesters. If you did 18, you'd end up with 144 hours. And so adding a minor doesn't cost anything additional. It would only be additional if you went beyond 18 hours, and there's no reason to do that. You can create pods where you take 18 hours every semester. Can you add being an honors to that? Oh, definitely you can. I've had many honors students who had double majors in addition to adding minors onto that. So the classes that make up your major, you can honorize them, or you can take honors classes as part of the core curriculum that is required of everybody. All those core classes, many of those are honors classes, and you will get your honors hours in that way. Yes, so the honors requirements will be satisfied also. Okay, and lastly, I want to talk to you a bit about our experiential learning requirement here at JU. So all students at JU, as part of their requirement to graduate, have to complete 1 3-credit hour experiential learning class. And you can do it in one of 4 different areas. You can complete an internship, a service learning class, a study abroad and away class, or undergraduate research. And so I'm going to talk to you a little bit about each of these 4 areas and the types of classes and opportunities that we offer in these areas. So firstly, internships. So an internship is usually something that you would do during your junior or senior year, and you can do an internship for 3, 6, 9, or 12 credit hours. As long as you did it for 3 credit hours, it would satisfy your experiential learning requirement. What happens with an internship is, for example, if you were doing a 3 credit hour internship one semester, for every credit hour of internship in which you're enrolled, you have to work 3 hours a week at a company or a facility or an agency in the Jacksonville area. And so our Career Resource Center helps you to set up these internships. It has a list of available agencies, companies, businesses in town who are eager to have JU students come and work with them in an internship. And so you would be working there. So if you did a 3 credit hour internship, you'd be working there 9 hours each week. There's no class to attend as part of the internship. Your work experience is satisfying the class work. You would work with the professor on campus, and then a supervisor at the internship at the business or the company or the agency who would supervise you. And the whole intent is that the internship should be something relevant to your major. So whatever or one of your majors, if you have multiple majors. Some internships have GPA requirements. They're usually fairly modest, so you usually have to have at least a 2.5 in order to be eligible for an internship. And that work experience is very valuable. A lot of times, most of the students that I've had who have done internships usually do it for more than 1 semester. They usually like it so much that they want to go back, and the organization usually likes them so much that they want to have them back. And many times these students have been offered positions in the company upon graduation based on the work that they did there as part of their internship. So it's a really valuable experience. We also have international internship opportunities. We have 2 partner institutions, Santa Ana Institute in Sorrento, Italy, and Barcelona School in Barcelona, Spain. And you can actually go there most students do it during the summer months, study abroad, and you can get international internship credits in addition that would satisfy your experiential learning if you didn't want to do an internship here in the United States. Okay, the second area for experiential learning is service learning. And here you can see a student who's working at the Tree Hill Nature Center, which is a couple of miles from our campus. And so a service learning class, you may have had something like this in high school, where part of the academic information of the class is tied in with a service component out in the community. So for example, we have a professor in sociology who always has students participate. Her service learning class is called Communities in Schools, and the students act as mentors to students at a local high school, and they work with them throughout the semester in a mentorship capacity. Here, students, as part of a sustainability class, are working at the Tree Hill Nature Center for their service learning. And so the course merges together meaningful service to the community along with what is being taught in the class. So we offer service learning classes every semester. 1 3-credit-hour service learning class would satisfy your experiential learning requirement. And students, this is the most popular form of experiential learning. So students do more service learning than any of the other 3 areas. And in fact, it's so popular that we have created a service learning certificate where you do 9 or 12 credit hours, so 3 or 4 service learning classes, and you can actually graduate with a specialized certificate in service learning, and that is also very popular for our students. The third area for experiential learning is study abroad and away. And so here we have a picture of somebody who I believe is in Sorrento, Italy. So you can see some of the places that we've been recently over the past couple of years. So there was a health science service learning class that went to Ireland, English and humanities that went to London, marine science often does a trip to the Florida Keys. They also do one to the Bahamas. There was an international studies in during spring break in Ecuador a year ago, and then we have several communications study abroad classes that are taught in Sorrento in Italy, and you can see study abroad in Belize in Barcelona. So we don't have any study abroad classes for this fall. We have one that we're planning for next spring if everything goes smoothly, and then we assume that by next summer we're ramping back up. We have several planned for Sorrento. We have the Bahamas marine science trip planned for next summer, and a London trip also for next summer. And so 1 3-credit-hour study abroad. And you notice it's study abroad and away. Some of the trips are actually domestic trips, but it will also satisfy your experiential learning requirement. And you can see that you can use oftentimes use financial aid for study abroad. So it is something that is really open to all students at JU to take advantage of this opportunity. And then lastly, our last experiential learning opportunity is undergraduate research. And so we have various ways that you can do undergraduate research. Some classes are designated as RI classes, which stands for research intensive, or you might do an independent study with a professor and you can have it designated as research intensive. And here you can see we have students who are, I believe, working with OSearch here, so the sharp researchers. And then most of our students who do undergraduate research go on to present their research at a conference. So either at the, we have a research symposium right here on campus every year in the spring. And then we also send students to the Florida Conference of Undergraduate Research. This past year it was at Gulf Coast University in Fort Myers, and we usually also send students to the National Conference on Undergraduate Research. So you have an opportunity to not only conduct research with a faculty member, but then to have the experience of presenting it just as you would at a professional conference in a discipline if you were to go on to graduate school or some other type of professional school. So that gives you some examples of our experiential learning. And then some of you obviously are in honors already. You've been asking questions about that, but we do have an honors program and a scholars program. You would have probably been contacted about that if you were eligible for it. So you can see the GPA and SAT or ACT requirements here. And this gives you certain advantages. It puts you into a community of scholars who are like you in terms of academics, and it gives you special priority in terms of registration, and it gives you, you participate in an honors colloquium where you produce a portfolio, so all of that, so you have help with all of that. If you think you meet the criteria and that was not something that was pointed out to you as part of the admissions process, then certainly reach out to me or reach out to your admissions counselor and they will be able to help you with that. Questions?
Thank you so much, Dr. Sapienza and Dr. Jackson. If you have questions now, go ahead and put them in the chat. But to kind of get us started, can you talk about maybe what is your top piece of advice to first-year students getting involved on campus and getting engaged with this community and trying out different opportunities?
Yeah, sure. It's a great question. And, you know, I think there's just so much, you know, I mean, some students that come on campus want to go right into a sorority or a fraternity, and that's always a great option to build community. We have a vast array of student organizations. I would definitely put your toe in the water and read about those student organizations and see what their mission is and see the type of community members that belong to it. I mean, it's definitely, when Dr. Jackson talked about pods, I mean, pods is such an important concept because people do like to be grouped together. We like to feel the comfort of being with others. And so I think, I mean, just getting involved and learning about our student organizations is really important, because I think if you can join in on one early on, you can start to develop that community of peers. And, you know, one thing they always talk about a university setting, you know, why are you here? Why are you on campus and meeting people and meeting peers, is because they become some of your greatest contacts, you know, when you leave a university, and you never know who you're going to meet or where you're going to cross paths again. And it could be, you know, a year after you graduate or 5 years. And we often find, you know, we have just a tremendous group of alums that have graduated from the university and some of the activities that they've been involved in and their professional success. And that's why when you saw the high, what's called return on investment, which was on the first slide, that means you get a very good job and you do very well after leaving Jacksonville University. And a lot of that is based on how we prepare you, what you involve yourself in, and then who you meet when you're here. So, you know, it's not only meeting people when you're here, but it's also us connecting you to our alums who then connect you to industry. But dip the toe in, lots of different things to do. And certainly, you know, we've got our athletes that are already developing their community by participating in sports. And so the intramural sports is always an option as well. And I guess lastly, I would mention, you know, our new gaming room, you know, that's fun, our esports, and a lot of students are really interested in the esports activities.
Awesome, great advice, thank you.
Dr. Jackson, I saw a question about, sorry, Ami, from Grace, and she said she had an extra 9 hours when she did her pods. Any advice on that if you go above the number that's expected?
Yeah, well, it would depend on whether she went above the 120. That's certainly perfectly acceptable to go above 120. Mm-hmm. So 9 hours would be fairly easy to complete in addition to the 120. If you're above 144, 9 hours above it, then that means that would cost extra, and it might mean taking classes over the summer in order to get those 9 hours. So I'm not quite sure what you put together, Grace, but certainly if you want to reach out to me, I can help you with that.
Yeah, the goal, Grace, is to stay below that 144. That really means you're not spending more time on campus, you're not delaying your graduation, and that's what PODS is all about. PODS lets you pick and choose putting these combinations together, because imagine if you had a bunch of flyers all around you and you were trying to figure out, you know, does marketing match with communications, or it's nearly impossible to do. But with these drop-down menus, you can play with it, and you're going to change your mind. You're going to change your mind. So PODS allows you to continue to explore that, share that with your friends, talk about what you're combining. And Dr. Jackson, it's not impossible to have a major and 2 minors for that matter.
No, and actually we had, I think the biggest pod that somebody graduated with was a double major with three minors.
Yeah, that's
So
great.
I'm a psychologist. It's really common for students to double major in psychology and sociology. I almost always have my psychology students minor in either marketing or management, because almost everybody is going to be managing people at some point in time, and it's only 4 classes to get either one of those minors. And so you need, the neat thing about pods is to think about expanding beyond the area that is your first home. Okay, so if your first home is psychology in the College of Arts and Sciences, to think about, is there something in the College of Business? Is there something in healthcare sciences that would match well with my major here? So, and that really helps to make you even more diverse and more marketable.
Yeah.
I
And
did it
just
myself over here and did psychology and sociology with a minor in ethics and leadership, and it got me 118 credits. So definitely doable.
Yeah,
wow, that's
good. That's a good one.
yeah. And I can't, say more about what Dr. Jackson's saying about what employers are talking about. They're really looking for those communication skills. We call them soft skills, communication skills, ability to write, ability to lead, ability to really integrate your learning together. And they are looking at that portfolio. And so I think there's a very keen advantage when you've done more than one thing and you can show multiple skills, because your employer will train you on the job. They're looking for your capability to learn and that you've had multiple interests and can demonstrate that, on your transcripts and actually in the conversations you have with them when you're interviewing.
For sure.
Right, and the pods in combination with the experiential learning requirement, because the experiential learning requirement is designed to do many of the same things: critical thinking, diversity, teamwork. So putting all of that together in one degree really gives you an advantage.
For sure. I had a question come in privately in the chat. Question about the honors and scholars program. Is that something you can be accepted into after your first term here, or is it something that needs to happen before you are completing credits?
No, you can be accepted after your first term. It depends on what your GPA is during your first term, and the director of our honors and scholars program, if you met with that individual after the first term and asked about it, they would be able to let you know whether you are eligible at that time.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that.
So Dr. Jackson, if I was that student and I was looking to gain information about the honors and scholars program, or I don't know who the director is, how do I figure that out as a student?
Well, certainly it's listed on the webpage for honors and scholars, so you could search through the JU homepage for that, and you would get that information. Or you can certainly reach out to me or to Dr. Sapienza, and we can point you in the right direction. Or your academic advisor would most definitely know who the director of honors and scholars is, and would be able to send you to that individual.
Yeah, your academic advisors are going to be somebody you want to stay close to when you get here. They're really going to help you with your course registrations. They'll give you some career counseling, but right next door to our academic advising, this is all located in a building called the Howard Building. It's a big building when you come on campus. Many of you have probably already seen it if you visited, and that's where a lot of our student services are. So we kind of have in close proximity our academic advising as well as our career counseling center.
Awesome. Well, we've seen questions slow down in the chat, but while we kind of wait and wrap up, Dr. Jackson, is there anything you would like to share of advice or guidance for our first year students?
Oh, certainly. Yeah, well, I agree with obviously everything that Dr. Sapienza said, but this year is different. So clubs can only meet in groups of 10 or fewer, so it might be a little bit more difficult to get involved in things than it normally would. I would say, interact with the students in your classes. They can become your cohort, your group of people, especially if you're starting in classes in your major right away. There might be a cohort of students, in your major that you study together with and that you go through the program together. And also, if you're living on campus, your residence halls, not just your roommate, but I mean, that's kind of your family away from home. You think of your hall as your family. And so that might be, connect with those people so that you have that connection that might be missing a little bit from a normal semester, because things are going to be different, and the groups that normally get together, the can't. There will be, I mean, they'll be there. There will be intramural sports and there will be e-gaming, but it will all be limited due to social distancing. So you might not be able to participate at quite the level that you normally would.
We've got lots of ideas in our office to make that happen for you this fall. So keep an eye out on our social media channels to make sure you're getting engaged and involved. There's a question, are there opportunities for first-year students in OSearch?
Yeah, OSearch, is really managed by, and OSearch opportunities are managed by our Marine Science Institute director, Dr. Quint White. And so you could email him directly and he could talk to you about what those opportunities are, as well as other fieldwork and laboratory experiences at that level. But Dr. Quint White is the person that you would want to talk to about that for your freshman year.
Perfect.
And if you were in a marine science class, like a freshman level class, your professor for that class could certainly help you to connect with Dr. White, or might be able to help you to connect with the OSearch people also.
Awesome. Well, thank you again so much for joining us this evening, Dr. Sapienza and Dr. Jackson. We've really appreciated all the information you provide and the interactive ability to kind of learn and design the experience that our students want. So with that, if you have any questions or need additional contact information that you missed or are watching this on YouTube later, feel free to reach out to new2ju@ju.edu and we'll be sure to direct your question appropriately and make sure it gets in the hands of Dr. Jackson or Dr. Sapienza if needed. So
And you know what, Ami? Let's
Yeah.
leave them with this. What's in your pod? Figure it out. What's in your pod? Spread the word.
Let us know.
Let us know. I mean, this is your app. It's for you. No other university has it. This has been an innovative project here at JU. Play with it. Figure out what's in your pod. You all take care. We'll see you soon.
Yeah, good night. Bye.